Hi there, Mike from Greenway. I was reading an article today on a website called InsideEVs.com, and the topic of the discussion today was thieves are now stealing charging cables from charging stations. Those are the level 3 charging stations, and those stations, they have some pretty fancy cords. I mean, the cord has to be a pretty thick gauge of wire, and they're stealing them by just cutting off the ends of the cable, as long as the cable is that they can get. And so reading this is, really super disappointing, of course. I mean, what they're doing is cutting the cables for the copper, and then they're stripping the wire off and then selling the copper for scrap metal. So on an individual cable, they may be getting $1 or $2 or something, but each cable, I mean, to replace those could be quite hundreds of dollars for, parts and labor to replace those, maybe even over $1,000. If you think of a Tesla charging station or a charge point charging station, those cables can be pretty expensive, and especially the connectors on the end, those are not cheap. So I was really disappointed to read that, and I thought, get me to thinking, what about my own charger itself when I use it in the public area? If I plug my car in, or even at home, if I plug my car in but outside, is there a chance that a thief could come and steal it from me? Well, yeah, I guess so. And the charging cable that I bring with me, the gauge of wire is quite a bit smaller, so it's probably less attractive to a thief, whereas at those level 3 charging stations, they can probably be pretty thick copper wire. But, and then additionally to that, when my car is plugged in, that wire is live. So you have to be a pretty brave thief to start cutting a live electrical cable. Unfortunately, at the charging stations, when there's no car plugged into it, basically the cable is dead. There's no voltage of any consequence going through it, so they can cut it off safely, basically. But so reading this article, I thought, well, what about my own situation? So some cars have a cable lock feature, and so you can lock your charging cable to your car, so they can't steal your cable unless they cut it. So I guess there's two reasons a person may steal your charge cable. One is to sell it for copper, in which case they may be just cutting it. Or another case could be if they're trying to steal your charging cable. And I know for the experts, it's not a charging cable, it's an EVSE, but for simplicity, I'll just call it a charger here. So, so they might be interested to steal your charger. So if you lock it, certain cars, like this Nissan Leaf has a lock feature on the dash. You can select lock, and it will lock itself to the car. So you cannot steal it easily. I guess you could say it keeps the honest thieves honest, because they can't steal it easily. You can't just grab it, unlatch it, and it comes off. It will be locked to the car. So in order to steal it, they would have to be, breaking something, breaking it off, cutting it off. But unfortunately, the other side, the wall side, there's really no way to secure it to the wall unless it's permanently installed. Then that would be permanently attached to the wall. But got me to thinking, is there any other cars out there that have a cable lock feature? And I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it's not something I've done a lot of research on. So on your EV, do you have a cable lock feature on your car when you plug it in? Is this something you're concerned about? So I live in an area that gets very cold in the winter in Canada, and we have had problems in the past with people stealing block heater cables. And a block heater is basically a device that you have in your gas engine that you can plug into the wall, and it keeps your motor warm so that when you start it, it actually starts. And that's for the gas vehicles. So my defense mechanism in the past for keeping those from being stolen is, if I have a brand new extension cord that I'm using to plug in my block heater on my car, I'll just wrap some black electrical tape around it in a few different spots so that it appears to be an old, broken down, used cable that no one will want to steal. So they'll pass it up for the next one. So maybe it keeps me okay, but unfortunately the neighbor might be impacted. But I wonder if that would work as well with electric vehicles, if you could just wrap some black electrical tape around the cable. I think that would keep the thieves who are trying to steal your charger, that would keep them away. Maybe they say, well, why would I want that one, because it's already not very good. The cable, the scrap people probably still won't be deterred because it doesn't matter if it works properly or not. They're still going to want the copper. So yeah, so it's a new problem that I've read about. I guess there's some charging stations in some areas that they'll have 8 or 10 charging stalls, and overnight the thieves will come in, they'll cut off all 8 or 10 charging stations. So not only is it a big expense for the person who owns the charger, whether it's Tesla or ChargePoint or whoever else, but also the first person that shows up there in the morning to charge their EV is going to stop and see that there's no charging cables. So that could leave a person in a situation where they're a little bit stranded if there's no other options for them around. Now, there was another statement in the article that they said that the charging cables that are being stolen typically are in places that are kind of a little bit remote. At night at 2 in the morning, there's not really anyone around, there's no security cameras and that sort of thing. So some of them are more secure, like charging stations that are attached to a gas station, a 24-hour gas station. Those ones tend to be a little bit less targeted just because there's people around and there's cameras around. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on this situation? I just read it and I was disappointed. I mean, I know that there's thieves out there and they're trying to find a way to get some money, but it's really disappointing that our precious charging stations are being impacted by that, and there's just not enough of them out there. I mean, that's one of the issues that's still ahead of us. Is we need more. We need every charging station we have, and we need more. And then when they get impacted like this, it really first of all, it makes them unavailable today, but also it probably deters companies from putting out charging cable. Why would you put a charging cable out just to have it stolen and spend all that money? It's not cheap to put those charging stations in. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? So I'll leave a link below to the article. Interesting website, an interesting article about that charged cable situation, and definitely disappointing. I guess we have to protect our own equipment as much as we can. Does that mean charging stations need to have cameras on them? Probably. I mean, that would be good for us as consumers as well. If you are charging a charging station late at night and there's no cameras and it's kind of remote and it's kind of mostly dark and not too much light, it's maybe uncomfortable for us to charge as well. So it would be better if charging stations had cameras and lots of lights, although lots of them are well lit. I've found I don't really find any of them too dark, but it's just a matter of personal safety and then charging cable safety as well. So what are your thoughts on this situation? Be glad to get your comments in the comment section. If you found this video interesting or helpful, I'd appreciate if you can give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for future videos. Thanks a lot and have a great day.